This is not what you want to see on your flower farm. This is also not what you want to see on your flower farm. This video is going to be about the damage that my zinnias took and my other flowers from burning them with fertilizer, and how not to make this mistake. Hey everybody, welcome back to Horton's Flower Farm. So this is not a happy video. This is a video of making a huge mistake on your farm, and so you don't make it. So as you can see, the row behind me were my are my zinnias, and they had a very, very rough start. When we planted them in, they were already leggy. We planted them in on a windy day. Then the temperatures went down to 40 degrees, and then we got extreme rain. And then because of all of that, and I had direct seeded things in, I had wanted to fertilize. I couldn't put the fertilizer in my injector, so we chose to spray them, topical spray fertilizer. And it was on the hottest day that they had experienced. It was like 85 degrees. We waited until dusk, but it obviously was not enough for these. I'm gonna show you the damage. We killed a lot of our Solosia. So this video is gonna be showing you basically a week later how they're looking, and show you if there is gonna be new growth and how we're gonna have a farm that's gonna be able to open because we've damaged a lot of flowers. As you can see, the damage was pretty bad on this row. I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened, what caused this, and how you can avoid this so you don't make this mistake. Okay, so the rule of thumb with fertilizing is you don't wanna fertilize them on hot days where it's dry, and the soil was too dry. It was still too hot even though it was dusk, and we did half what you're supposed to do. So if we had done the full amount, we would have killed the whole farm. But I'm just gonna go around and show you that there is hope for the zinnias. The Solosia, not so much. They took a really bad hit. And I'm gonna show you what happened over there. But let me just show you the zinnias right now. As you can see, some of them are just done. I don't know if there's gonna be new growth on this one or that one. This is just from a spray fertilizer at half of the dilution. As you can see, some of them are bouncing back. You can see there's a lot of brown, and zinnias are pretty hardy and they're pretty tolerant, so they're gonna bounce back, most of them. When we go over to the Solosia row, the story changes. The Solosias could not take it. They were tiny, and I don't think there's gonna be new growth on these. Some of them were spared by probably a miracle that he didn't spray them as much, so there's a couple in here, but this was just really, really bad. Now the ageratum, they looked very brown also, but they have bounced back quickly. So they're looking, look at this, they're looking really good, but a week ago this was not what they were looking like. You could probably see just a little bit of the brown remnants on the bottom of those leaves, but they're doing okay. Only flower that did not take a hit were my status, if you were wondering. They really didn't take too much of a hit. Next to us over here, the China asters did pretty good too. You can still see some remnants of the brown leaves on them a little bit, but not as bad as the Solosia or the zinnias. Okay, so let me tell you what we did. Obviously, I panicked that day because we're opening July 11th, and I pushed that up a week because I had ordered flowers that were a little bit bigger, I thought. So when this happened last week, I freaked out. I called every single wholesaler on the island, and I said, do you have anything that's grown more that I could put in the ground that's big? Zinnias, Solosia, marigolds, anything. And nobody had it. Nobody had anything. I really, really got lucky. I thought in my head, and I was like, 2 years ago, we had went to a farm that the kids loved with animals, and they had some beautiful flowers. And I called them and I said, do you have Solosia? And I said, I need like 50. And she's like, I think I only have like 30. And I said, I'll take them. So I'm gonna show you, we have a full row that is already completely in bloom. We could actually even open privately for a couple U-picks by ourselves. Not by ourselves, but just a couple people. But I'm gonna show you, this is my backup row. And I think every year I'm gonna spend the extra money to do this because I can open and have a couple classes even before the season opens. So let me show you the beautiful in bloom row that I have. Okay, this is what the row would look like if it was July 11th. These are all zinnias, about 2.5 feet high, and they are looking healthy. And this is how they came from the grower that actually owns the property that I'm on. He had these and said, do you want to buy them? And I said, yes, please. So look at this. Can you imagine how big they're going to be by opening day? Beautiful. So this is 170, I think. I'll double check that. And then these are my plume variety of Solosia. So these are going to be nice and big. These are 72, I believe, and you can see once these start growing, probably in 4 weeks, these are going to be probably double, triple the size. And then I also got some marigolds, African marigolds, just to fill in this spot again. So I'll have something, one row that is very healthy and big to pick off of. Okay, so this is not to say that this row did not cost me a lot of money to put in because they're fully grown. So, you know, I got these at a wholesale price, which is great. If I didn't, it would have been even more ridiculous, this row. But here's the thing. I have events this year, and if those flowers had taken the hit and delayed, because if you burn the flowers, they can bounce back, but they can delay blooming. And I have events planned, and I think I'm gonna have a lot of people this year for them. So it's worth the investment for me to put down these flowers, know that I'm going to be okay for those events, and then let those bounce back when they're going to bounce back. So what I'm trying to do right now is to recoup this money. In the next 4 weeks, I'm running some classes for little kitty classes, mini arrangements, little teacup arrangements, and I'm trying to do things where I can recoup this money in the 4 weeks. Say hi. Hi. I'm trying to recoup this money to make it, you know, even if I get a little bit back, it's peace of mind. So the money will hopefully be recouped. If not, that's okay. This peace of mind is worth it for me. So what happens next on this farm? Will we wait? And this is why it's great to make these videos. In general, even if you don't have a YouTube channel, you should be videoing every season, because I looked back on the pictures of actually my best season, which was 2023, and the flowers were very small and it looked like it wasn't going to bloom, and it was my best season. So always looking back to see what your plants look like, the specific dates, to see where you're adding your timeline. Like, am I behind? Is this how it looked? Things like that. So it actually made me feel better. I looked back and I said, okay, actually the zinnias that took the hit like that are even ahead of my best season. So that's they're ahead in growth, because they're already putting on buds where they weren't yet. So that is really good. Even though they got wind, they got rain, they got low temperatures, they got fertilized to death almost, they are actually still looking bigger than they did in my best season. So I guess my point here is, you know, track what happens, learn from your mistakes, you know. And I don't even know how many, some things you can't control. Like, I couldn't control the wind, I couldn't control the low temperatures on them. But the things that I can control, like the overwatering, the fertilizing incorrectly, you know, the fertilizing was a panic thing. I hadn't fertilized them almost 3 weeks since they were in the ground. And I said, we need to do this, we need to do this. And I kind of forego my own knowledge of, like, you can't fertilize. This is our first 85-degree day. That was not a good decision. Let me just show you a couple more flowers that are in bloom. I have my cosmos, which are ahead of schedule too, and they're blooming. My cupcake variety, my first year with cupcakes. So let me show you. Okay, so these are actually a couple varieties. This is a double click white. Let's see over here. This is the cupcake. You see, it kind of opens like a cupcake.
This is
I was
Bob.
excited about that. And they look pretty big.
This is not a Bob, Mom.
This is another cupcake. Shh. Okay, so these are looking good. And then I have these really delicate gomphrenias. I'm going to show you. They kind of look almost like, and they're putting on some new growth. They took a little bit of a hit going in. I'm actually going to mulch this area for them. Let me just show you what these are, because I love them. If you want, this is the variety, and it's very delicate as like a filler flower, different than the gomphrena, like the little heads of the balls. This is beautiful. We use them in just a small arrangement, and I love them. So I put some of these here. I think 22 of them. They're going to be, you know, 3 feet wide, 3 feet tall. They're going to be beautiful. All right, this is marigolds that were directly seeded, and they're looking really nice. This is looking good. And then these are directly seeded Zenyas, this row, and this is a really nice row coming along. I threw in so many seeds. I was so frustrated. Look at how many seeds. I'm gonna have to thin a couple of these out, but most of them only have one, like one or two down this row. That was just probably I was angry, and at the end of the row, because these had not sprouted up the first time we seeded them in, so I kind of went crazy. See what I did there? That was me getting tired. But hey, you know what? That's better, and if you got the seed cheap, it's okay. So that is the update on the farm. That is the row that I'm excited about. I mean, I'm excited about all of it. It's looking okay. The Solosia over here is really what took the worst of a hit. What are you gonna do? This is what happens when you have a farm. Some things are gonna get damaged, and you have to know that that's gonna happen. Okay, so one other update that I wanna tell you. I have 2 more rows that needed to be direct seeded with zinnias. That's my fall succession. And what I'm doing with that, my grower here, who I leased the greenhouses from, offered to grow them from plugs for me for my succession, so that I can plant in plugs and I don't have to worry, did I direct seed? Did they germinate? I was having some germination issues the first time, so I said, you know what, just grow them for me. That'll be my succession. They'll be in plugs and I'll put them in. So he's growing 1,000 actually, which is probably 300 more than I needed, but I might put 2 in per hole. That's what I'm gonna do. And I actually had a couple seedlings I was growing as backups over there to fill in. I'll probably show you those because they're coming up nicely. But so that's the plan. There's gonna be 2 more rows of succession zinnias, and those are fall, so they will start blooming the end of August. And why is that a good idea? So I'm telling you right now, and you could still do this if you want to. Definitely start a couple trays of zinnias for fall, because what happens to the zinnias is they say that they go all the way until the frost. But what happens is, if they are planted early, like I have them planted, they start to die back in their production around September, mid-September, and I still have a full month left of pickers to come on the farm, and they're not producing as much. I succession planted the zinnias, and then by the time September hit, they were in their full productive mode and they weren't turning brown. So definitely succession plant. You can succession plant the zinnias. I'm in zone 7B, probably, you know, all the way up until I think the end of June. And then you'll have a nice fall planting of those. If you're like in the south, you can probably even plant them into mid-July and have your October, you know, September and October bloom. But let me just show you the cute little seedlings I planted there for my bed. Okay, so these were planted to fill in spots where I direct seeded and there were holes that they didn't germinate. So these are 2-week-old zinnias, tons of zinnias, one of marigolds, and then I put a tray of Solosia, which is coming up slowly, but they're a lot slower. So this was before he was going to grow for me. These are my fill-in ones. So those will fill in holes where like I direct seeded. Okay, everybody, that is the update. I hope on the next video there's more growth and less death of flowers. So thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you soon. Opening day on our farm is going to be July 11th. But I do have a class on Friday. If people come to it and sign up, I will let you know how that went. That'll be our first real class on the new farm. And I will see you soon.